Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave, and today we have the build and play guide on the Jean Bart. Now, I just recently, relatively recently, got this, and this thing is a lot of fun. In fact, the French battleships in general are a lot of fun for me. And let's go ahead and start with Jean Bart here. Uh, we are using a Robert Gerard. Now, I do have a Geist on them, just so you're aware. I believe it's Lady Liberty. But anyway, we have Scharnhorst and Cunningham, just to help with accuracy. Honestly, reload's already pretty good on this, and the range is pretty good on this ship. So, I mean, you could 100% do, D Revel instead of Scharnhorst. That would probably be the better option for this one. Could even help with reload, but French ships in general have pretty good reload, and we are using the free-to-play Jajard. Now, I know some people use Dunkirk. Personally, I use Dunkirk for my Flounder, but to each their own. So we're using Flammable Cannoneer, gyrating drill bits. Now, it does hurt your speed a little bit, but these things are so quick it doesn't really hurt that much. Marksmanship and reaching out XXL with Fight Fire with Fire. For the modifications, we are running a dispersion, the propulsion mod as always, and the concealment as always. And our last slot, we are doing a main battery reload mod 3. So for your loadouts, you get 3 pretty decent heals and 2 main battery reload boosters. These things are handy and they catch people off guard. Also, you have a long duration engine boost. However, it only adds 8%. But it does come in handy if you are on the flank, which this ship excels at a few things, either being on the flank or nosing in. And I will show you guys here what I mean when we're talking about that when we get to the armor. Specs, uh, health, not terrible at 69,000. The guns, these are awesome. They one thing that caught me off guard is a lot of people have complained about French dispersion. Jean Bart, you don't necessarily have that issue. You do have some. It does kind of look when it comes out of the barrels, it looks rough, and then you just everything hits, and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's working. But anyway, these are 2 quadruple turrets, which reload really quick, which is kind of weird if you go off of reality of quadruple turrets. But anyway, the firing range is 19.4, very good. And you could get that well over 20 if you wanted. And reload time is 23 seconds. So having 8 guns, I know they're only 15s at tier 7, but man, these things can do a lot of damage if you want to. And while the 8 Cheery doesn't do a ton of damage, the fire setting isn't awful, especially for reloading every 23 seconds. But most of the time, you want to be firing AP out of this thing. And the AP is pretty darn good, along with the AA defense. The AA defense is not bad. Obviously, it's French. They're pretty decent after, what, tier 5 or 6? And this thing is no different. It can eat up planes quite a bit. Maneuverability. Now, with this build, it's 28 knots, but you could get it faster if you wanted. And the turning circle is 850, which isn't bad for the tier. And the rudder is 16.8, which isn't great, but you're not going to be turning a whole lot on this ship. Either you're going to be taking a flank, or you're going to be going bow in, so back and forward most of it. So it favors that playstyle anyway. Concealment is pretty bad. French battleships are all pretty bad at 13.3. And statistics, you can see only 13 matches played. Survived about half of them. The main gun accuracy on Jean Bart is really good. Now, it won't look like it when you shoot it. Trust me, it'll look like a shotgun. And it does have vertical dispersion a little bit, which throws you off. But most of the times, these things are pretty good. Especially if you're playing bow in a lot, because you're not generally playing very far at distance. You can see my average damage to ships, 110, pretty good, obviously, for tier 7. And potential damage is just under 1 million, which is slightly lower than average, but that honestly probably will move as we go and play it more. Armor. This is very interesting about this ship. It does have 32 millimeter everywhere on the ship, basically everywhere, right? Now it does have a belt under it, but everywhere is 32. And the reason that's kind of important is cruisers, especially with these like flat sides on it too, cruisers definitely get a lot of pens, HE pens on you. And this thing is one ship that you don't necessarily want to get burned down in by an HE spammer, because a lot of their shells are going to do damage. Plus, you just don't want to get burnt down in a French battleship. And that's what most people are going to attempt to do. The other weakness with these is these guns get knocked out pretty easily. In fact, if I'm in an American battleship, a lot of times I will use my AP just to knock out these guns if they are sitting bow in, because you're not going to overmatch a French battleship at tier 7 with American guns. Really quick, let's go ahead. But yeah, 32 millimeter bow. So Musashi's the only thing that's going to be overmatching you. And it does have kind of, I call it a half turtleback when the sides are turtlebacked. That being said, even though this looks like a tiny citadel and a narrow citadel, and it is, do not give somebody your broadside. You can get citadeled and will get citadeled. Even though this looks like, I guess it is slightly raised. And it is a pretty small citadel for a battleship. But it gets hit just like any other one, just to be clear. As we start the match, it's disclaimer time. This is a beginner's video meant to help people new to the ship or new to the game. This is not meant for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. There are multiple ways to play and build this ship, and I am an above average player, not the world's best. I make mistakes. You may see one in this match. You didn't come here for pronunciations. I'm as good as anybody at slaughtering beautiful languages all the time. With that being said, we are on Trap, and this is the first game I ever played in it, by the way. So you're seeing it raw right away off the bat. Now we spawn middle. There's a battleship on the left side, so I'm gonna stay middle, but I'm gonna help the right side of the flank since there is already a battleship over the left. I really like Trap. I feel like you can get really good crossfires on Trap in multiple different ways. Not just across the map, but even to your own flank, as you're going to see here in this match. So we're going to move in. Now, like I said, strengths of this ship, you can completely flank with this ship, right? If I spawn on the outside, I'm probably going around and flanking with the speed of this ship. 100%. I definitely, flanking is definitely one of the strong suits. But one of the strong suits is going bow in. Why is that? Well, you have a 32 millimeter bow, is 2 cruisers are broadside in front of us. And this is going to showcase one of the weaknesses right here of Jean Bart, is when you get close to a light cruiser, like Belfast, they have a tendency to overpen as we get 5 overpens. So I make the adjustments. This was my first shot out of the ship. We're going to take a shot at Miyoko. Why? Because Miyoko is a much bigger cruiser. Japanese heavy cruisers are quite big, and we're not going to make that same mistake twice. We're going to wait for the Miyoko to get... we're going to wait for the Belfast to make a mistake or maybe angle a little bit to us, right? So we have, just with 2 shots out of the gate, 40,000 damage. We're doing pretty solid. And there is the Iowa. Everybody's going broadside because nobody's expecting me to be here. This is what I mean about getting good crossfires. You're going to continue to see me do that. Now, you saw very quickly, though, that they did some damage to me right off the bat, the two cruisers. Why is that? Because 32 millimeter armor on side plating and everywhere, basically, that is a weakness. Is Belfast is going to back up, and we're not going to make a mistake this time because he's angled enough to actually get rid of him. But HE, especially heavy cruisers, have a tendency to fully pin this armor everywhere, and it is kind of flat. So you can see I'm using this island to cover my left side. I don't know necessarily what's over there, who's paying attention to me. I am watching it a little bit, but you can see I'm using this island. Even cruisers really can't lob it, and we are going to go ahead and take a nice little shot here at Iowa and let them know we're here. And he's going to find out really quickly. Five full pens, one citadel, and at this point there's not much he can do. Now, this is one of the reasons that I like Jean Bart is a bow-in ship a lot. If you spawn middle, instead of just trying to run to the outsides, a lot of people will, you can use it to get good crossfires, because all your guns are in the front of this ship, meaning you're not giving up DPM with a rear turret. For example, you see Iowas and Yamatos all the time go bow in, right? Which is fine, they can do it. Not always my play style, but they can. But a lot of times when you do that, you're giving up your rear gun. This doesn't have that problem. In fact, the only problem this has with going bow in is when people can't overmatch you, they're going to shoot your guns off this thing. And it can happen. I mean, it happens quite a bit. Like I said, when I'm an American battleship, I will completely try to knock out the guns on Jean Bart or Richelieu. They're pretty easy to do generally. Obviously, too, we're well aware that the B cap is taken. You're going to see me look over to B cap. And the last spot into the cruiser, even though it's been a little bit, is on the other side of the cap, so I'm not super worried about taking a torp here. And I'm more worried about getting rid of these two battleships, right? So we've won the C cap. Destroyer's right next to me. I'm assuming he's going to go get the cap here in a second. And we're just making sure no torps are coming. And we're going to go ahead and move up and use this island for cover from the left side of the map. And even though we've completely taken out their whole right flank, now this gives us the opportunity to take two of the ships that I'm assuming these guys spawned middle and came over here. We're going to go ahead, take a shot. And we're going to use that wonderful reload booster. But to King George's credit, he's actually going to turn out here. And that is going to save him, honestly. But we're being careful. We're limiting who can shoot us, right? Not everybody can shoot us from the left side. The right side, we don't know where the destroyer is. He could be popping out right in front of us or behind us. It's been a while since they've been spotted, and sure enough, there is the destroyer. He's trying to go from the front of us. And we're limiting that Leon from actually hitting us as well, as King George is almost completely done on health here. And we're going to move up so we can focus on Leon. And now the Lightning. That was my biggest worry. And to my teammates' credit, they 100% try to help on this guy too. And you're going to actually see me make a tough call. And it's really a tough call, to be honest with you. Because I don't want to go blasting out past this island here. Not only does Leon get my broadside, but you could probably safely assume that Lightning's going to be throwing torps my direction, right? I'm a battleship. I'm an easy target. So I'm going to stop working on backing up. Now, our destroyer does a good job, gets a C cap, and you can see the cruisers coming as well. And so I'm going to back up because there's no reason to take torps to the face. And we're going to limit who can shoot us, get Leon out of here, is my thought process. Obviously, there's now two destroyers. You're going to see me here in a second look over. The Japanese one has not much health left, right? So, we have a full health, basically a full health
Torpedoes
uh,
ahead of us.
lightning here, and obviously my backup was a good move because
Torpedoes
there
ahead of
was
us.
torps coming. And I see the cruiser on the other side of the island. I just assumed we were going to win that fight. I probably should have pushed right up as soon as I could to help out. I just assumed our cruiser and a destroyer was going to win this fight
Concentrate fire on the
because
designated
the
target.
Japanese one almost had no health, but our lightning is going to go down. And I probably, knowing what I know now, probably would have went up and helped. Normally, I'm really aggressive, but I just didn't have the health to be super aggressive. If I eat a torp, I'm probably done here. And I just assumed our cruiser was going to be able to get rid of, or help get rid of it. A cruiser in a full health destroyer against a low health destroyer and another one on another team. We should have won that battle, but it is what it is, and I'm going to pay the consequences here for it towards the end. So also, damages and everything, guys, right? This is going to be a decent damage game, but we really helped in the way of taking out the entire flank. And also, we're looking at Veneto now, also trying to get our guns ready just in case the destroyer pops up kind of in that area. And sure enough, there he is. And look at this beautiful shot. I love hitting destroyers as we get our high cal and now our Confederate. And I can't just blindly rush them now because I'm sure there's torpedoes coming again at some point, right? So we're going to be real careful. And I actually, to this cruiser's credit, or that destroyer's credit, I thought he was going to play this a little different. We take a shot at Veneto knowing that the destroyer is going to take some pop shots at us through the smoke, but we're going through the island, so I'm not behind the island, so I'm not too concerned about a couple pop shots coming out of the smoke cloud. But we're going to go ahead, damage combat fire once we get behind the island and go dark, and because we don't plan on seeing that destroyer again. I just assumed he was not going to do a whole lot at this point. I didn't expect him. I figured he'd stay behind the island and wait for me to come out and try to torp me, but he's going to play this a little differently. So also tomorrow's video is also going to be Jean Bart, but this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be, this game is going to have a good amount of damage. We're going to take out our flank. We're going to do a lot of things that help our team. Tomorrow's video is going to be in that same fashion, but doing it different. And it's not going to be as damage related. As you can see, there is Leon, so we're going to go ahead and take a shot at him. I braked right at the right time as clearly a torpedo went by. Now, the lightning here. Both of these ships both caught me off guard. Leon, I didn't expect to have HE on. And the Lightning, I did not expect to be coming out in front of me. So they put me on fire real quick and ended up killing me. I deserved it. I should have gotten rid of that Lightning when I had the chance. Or maybe even tried to make a different effort at it. Wasn't an awful play on my part, but I can't eat the torps either. But at the same time, I shouldn't assume my teammates have something, I guess. But 220,000 damage, which I'm not really a damage guy, but that's solid. And we really helped our team win the match, which is the most important thing. We obliterated that right flank, that C flank that they had in 3.5 minutes in that match. Just having good crossfire from being in the middle. That's why you don't have to always run away from the middle. A lot of times you'll see me try to stay in the middle if at all possible as we get a 3200 base game. Anyway, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time, folks. Have a good one.